YouTube. Good evening. I did indeed go to the Jacksonville Jaguars Baltimore Ravens game here in Jacksonville, and man, oh man, was it one amazing game. Jacksonville won, so I bought the hat. I told myself if they forced overtime or won, I'd buy a hat. But they gave me a shirt for free for being an hour early and one of the first, I guess the first 10,000 fans in the door got a free shirt. All right, take that. So, it was so worth it. I mean, I just did this on a lark. I found a ticket on resale for, I think I paid about $50 for it altogether when all was said and done. I mean, I was basically right along the 2-yard line in nosebleed, but I could still see the whole field. I had great vantage for all the action, so I'm not going to complain. It was a great game. So, yeah, can't say boo about that. Instead of forcing overtime, Jacksonville went for it. After their after their touchdown, they went for the 2-point conversion instead of kicking the extra point to just force overtime. They got it. So, all right, that's why the hat's here. Now I'm a Jacksonville fan. All right, so I want to talk a little bit more about my experience at the Jaguars game, just because it was that much fun. Anyway, I'm not a Jaguars fan. At least I was not a Jaguars fan before today's game in Jacksonville. I mean, I'm in Jacksonville on a day off on a layover because I'm between loads. I had a U.S. mail load that picked up in Orlando yesterday, delivered it last night, straight through trip. But that's a different story I'll tell later in a different video. But anyway, so I've got a day off, and I figured, all right, I have a whole day off. I'm in Jacksonville. It's a major city in this region, and it's like, I've got a day off, and I'm in a major city center, or near it at the very least. I can't just sit in my truck and play video games or sleep or whatever. I have an opportunity to do something. What can I do? So I'm thinking like, all right, well, when I had a layover in New Orleans, I went to Bourbon Street and then the aquarium, had a great day there. That was a lot of fun. What can I do in Jacksonville? Football season. Are the Jaguars at home? Okay, let's check it out. Turns out the Jaguars were at home and the tickets were cheap. I got a resale ticket for I think I paid about $50 for it altogether, maybe 52, whatever it was. And then I had to Uber down there, and then I had to Uber back. I mean, that was not cheap, but it's better than trying to get my truck down there and park and give up my parking spot that I had reserved at my truck stop location. It's like, all right. And, it's the Jaguars and the Ravens. Like, I'm not a fan of either franchise. I'm a Bears fan, but I feel for those franchises, for those cities that have teams that are just not doing well or have not done well in a long time. Like the Jaguars had a really good run to the AFC Championship game a few seasons ago, but since that time they've kind of fallen by the wayside there. They had a rough few seasons, but being a Bears fan, and because the Bears have been in quarterback purgatory and have not been able to field a quality offense and defense at the exact same time since 1985, which is saying something. I feel for teams like the Detroit Lions, Cleveland Browns, Jacksonville Jaguars, the New York Jets. They're doing well this year, but they've been a doormat for the New England Patriots for the last 20-something years because of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady for the most part. But still, Bill Belichick, the hooded one, is still in New England. And then, the Giants were really not doing well for a while. Now they're doing okay this year. Tampa Bay Buccaneers were not doing well until Tom Brady arrived. Now they're doing great. So I don't care so much about the Buccaneers, but the teams that have just not done well, I feel for them because I'm part of a fan base that has a team that's not done well in a while. Anyway, so... But still, it's like, even though I was rooting for the Jaguars because it was their home team, it was the home game for them. That's really why I was rooting for them. It really wasn't. It was nothing to do. Well, the main reason was not because they're a team that's on the upswing, that's trying to rebuild, and they're in a rebuilding phase, sort of. It's not because of that. It's just because it's their home and it's their home stadium, so I'm not a fan of either team. I'll just root for the home team. Until we get into the fourth quarter. Now, the game is still pretty close. Things are going back and forth. It's a good defensive slugging match to this point. Now, the fourth quarter, if you watch this game, the fourth quarter was a wild shootout. Like, they scored 33 points between the two teams in the fourth quarter. And it was a wild ending because first the Ravens drove for the go-ahead touchdown, and then they went to the two-point conversion because at that point it made it 27-20 because to that point the Ravens had only scored one touchdown. Everything else was field goals, if I remember correctly, because it was 12-10 out of the half, I think it was. And all the Ravens had scored in the first half was field goals. So Justin Tucker, one of the best kickers in the game in all of NFL history, was doing his thing. But going into the fourth, it was still a pretty tight game. I think it was 19-10 shortly after. Yeah, it was 19-10 after about a minute and a half in the fourth because the Jaguars fumbled. The Ravens recovered and managed to score the touchdown. So it made it 19-10 at that point. But now, if that had been the final outcome, if it had just been a back-and-forth defensive seesaw until the game ended, all right, well, sucks for the Jaguars. But, they still were in it. They didn't get blown out. They made the Ravens work for it. But I really started pulling hard for the Jaguars to score the upset because a few rows behind me, the beer must have gotten to this particular Ravens fan because he started screaming at the field like he was someone who mattered, like he was a commentator or the head coach or whatever. And he was just obnoxious and absurd. Like, I was surrounded in nosebleed by a combination of Ravens fans and Jaguars fans. Everyone was chill. Everyone was cheering when their team was doing something good. No problem with that. It was totally fine. But no one was getting in anyone's face about it. Everyone was vibing. It was a good time. Even when the Jaguars were doing good, the Ravens fans were behaving themselves. When the Ravens were doing good, the Jaguars fans were behaving themselves. It was fine. This jerk store was harsh and the mellow. And I'm like, I really wanted him to get his face shut up by the Jaguars. And the Jaguars answered my prayers. Because I was just hoping, all right, Jaguars, even if you don't win, knock this bad boy up, force overtime. Let's go. Let's take this to the next level. Because the Jaguars drove, got a touchdown, and they made it, they got a field goal and then a touchdown, and then they made it 20. They had the go-ahead touchdown to start off the fireworks, and there was 20-19 with about, I think it was, 5:55 to play is when the Ravens took over to try to drive for the game-winning score. So the Ravens drive. They get their touchdown after it took them 2.5 minutes to do it. I got to say this. Lamar Jackson's 62-yard pass to Deshaun Jackson was it was a mind-blowing pass, and it was a huge gain, and it chunked the Ravens across the field, and this guy is just losing his mind. He's delirious with joy about the Ravens getting this pass. Now they're basically, I think they were just outside the red zone. They downed the receiver at the 23-yard line, I think it was. Massive pass, essentially. And they were all of a sudden went from deep in their own territory to knocking on the doorstep of the Jaguars' end zone. A few plays later, they get the touchdown. They had to work for it, but they got the touchdown. So now it's 26-20. I'm sorry, no, it's 25-20. Pardon me. The Ravens go for 2, and they convert. All right. Now we're past the 2-minute warning. Jaguars receive we're just before the 2-minute warning. Jaguars receive the kickoff, and they start their drive. They get one play off. I think it was an incomplete pass. They didn't go anywhere. 2-minute warning. All right. Then the Jaguars drive. And what started off kind of shaky, because I think Trevor Lawrence almost lost a fumble. It was a nail biter there to start this final drive. Then all of a sudden, Lawrence is just chunking these guys down the field with these big completions, and they're just moving. He rainbows this beautiful shot to the outside of the right side of the Ravens end zone for the score. And it was close because the receiver almost was not down in the end zone when he had possession of the football. So it was almost overturned. Like, I thought it was going to be overturned as an incompletion because I don't know all the rules about the process of the catch and all that. But the call on the field was a touchdown. When they reviewed it, there was nothing there to overturn it, so it's a touchdown. Now it is 26-27, Jaguars under the Ravens. All right? My expectation is that Doug Peterson's going to go for one, get the guaranteed point, and force overtime. I was expecting overtime. What happened instead, the Jaguars go for two, and they convert with 14 seconds to go. And the stadium is just exploding at this point. Like, this has been the wildest fourth quarter of football that I've watched in a long time, because I don't watch many games. I don't need that kind of stress in my life because I get too invested. And so 14 seconds to go, like, magic is happening for Jacksonville, and this Ravens fan is silent. I'm almost enjoying his silence more than I'm enjoying Jacksonville stunning the Ravens. But anyways, so they kick off, and it's 14 seconds to go. The Ravens receive the kickoff, and they run. They get to, I think there was the 30-yard line. They're down, and there's 10 seconds left. So now they've got 10 seconds to try to get to the end zone or into field goal range to win the game. I'll give Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense credit. They tried real hard. Jackson picked up a good chunk of yards with a short pass. I forget who he passed it to, but they brought them kind of within threatening range of Justin Tucker, who is, again, without question, one of the greatest kickers to play the game. Like, the man is automatic outside 50 yards for the most part. But this is a 67-yard attempt, and so he tries it, but the ball just, I think he fell about 15 yards short of the uprights. I mean, I felt bad for him, but I was really happy for the Jaguars, and I was really happy that the guy behind me had gotten shut up by the home team. So it's like I said in the other part of the video, like, okay, if the Jaguars force overtime or win, I'm buying a hat. So they won it in regulation on one of the gutsiest football calls I've seen made, with a young team trying to find its footing, with a young quarterback who's in his second year, and he's been through all kinds of drama. So it's like, to watch Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence get that win, it's like, okay, when it comes to the AFC South, and those teams, it's like, all right, I am a Jacksonville Jaguars fan now. That's just the way it's going to be. Like, they are my team out of the AFC South. Like, I try to pick a team out of all the divisions of football that I like. I mean, for the NFC North, Bears, no question about it. But when the Bears are not doing good, which is most of the time, Vikings or Lions, as long as those teams are doing well and it's not the Packers doing well, like, I'll cheer for them as long as they're not playing the Bears. That's just the way it is. It's football. You only get 17 games a season, and, I want every team to at least be a fair to Midland team, if not dynamite. At least they're not, like, getting blown out week to week. But, yeah, it's like I try to cheer for the teams that are not doing well just because the Bears don't usually do well. Next season, we might be gangbusters. Who knows? They can get the defense sorted out and the offensive line sorted out, and maybe a couple extra wide receivers. Like, the Bears could be a major problem for a lot of teams, which I'm hoping for. But at the same time, out of the AFC South, I mean, the Jaguars have a real chance to emerge as contenders. I mean, get a couple of pieces on the O-line, maybe another couple of deep threats for Trevor Lawrence to work with. I don't know. They could be good. But just based on today's amazing game, I am a Jaguars fan, and I will be cheering for them and hoping that they do well. So with that being said, friends, thank you so much for watching. And hey, make sure that if you ever go to a football game that you get there early and you stay for the whole thing, because you might end up being surprised at what happens, at the end because I had a wild ending. A lot of folks around me bailed out with about, well before the fourth quarter was getting close to ending, like with at least half the quarter to play. Some folks were even gone by the end of the third quarter. Like they just checked out. It's like, but you're missing out on a quarter of football that could be gangbusters, and it was a shootout. It was a great game. But you get there early, you get the fun, fan gift. Like I got this free shirt. It says Duval on it. I mean, nothing special, but it was free because I got there an hour before kickoff. All right. And then, I paid through the nose for this novelty cup, but, I'll use this on the road because it should fit a standard lid at most truck stops, so I can just get a disposable lid and be good to go there. So, got my novelty cup, and then I paid through the nose for a novelty hat. So I'm feeling pretty good about today. I had a really nice day off here in Jacksonville, and I'm glad that the Jaguars won a truly fantastic game, so congratulations to them. And, again, thank you for watching YouTube, whether you're a sports fan, a trucker, or both. I hope you have a good rest of your evening or day or whenever it is you're watching. So I will see you with that down the road.